if you're a sole trader sign maker, owner operator sign maker like myself, maybe even have a couple of staff, I'm hoping this video is helpful for you. There's loads of videos on YouTube covering the hands-on practicalities of signage, how to wrap, how to make signs, how to print stuff. Very little on how to price jobs. And you see plenty of posts on Facebook and on forums asking, how do I price this, how much should I charge, how much do you charge? My answer has been for a long time, you need to understand your own costs and work your own prices out. I understand how it can sound that I'm fobbing you off, being secretive. Well, what I'm hoping, whilst I've got an afternoon free, we'll look at some costs. We'll have a look, not with my figures, but some real world figures. We'll have a look at costs and how I use that within my business to price jobs, make decisions based on fact, based on real information. It works for me. I'm not saying my way's right, everybody should do this, but it's helped me. Over the past few years, my business has become more profitable. I don't seem to be as busy, but the work I'm doing is more profitable. So I hope you find it helpful. I hope it opens some people's eyes. Might scare some people when they realise what costs they've got to find. Yeah, again, I'm not saying I'm right. If you think I'm wrong, if you think there's a better way, if you think there's a different way, drop me a comment. We're all here to learn. So rather than just tell you, you need to work your own costs out, when I've stopped driving, we'll jump into it. We'll have a look. First thing we're going to do is get a handle on what it actually costs to keep your business open. So first thing I've got, rent every month. If you've got a vehicle, is that on finance or on lease? How much your waste collection is. There's insurance to pay for the business, the security alarm, which is a requirement for the insurance for us, and electricity, water, any machinery you might have on finance. So if you're still with me, let's just have a quick run through. I produce something similar for my own business using a spreadsheet similar to this. So we'll just have a quick run through it. Overheads, everything that needs to be paid every month, regardless of how busy you are. Rent, I've put £16,000 a year in there locally. Around Manchester at the minute, our rent's gone up 40%, but you're looking about £16 a square foot, 1,000 square foot unit, £16,000 a year. Waste, £70 a month. Electricity, £75 a month. Your water, about £40 a month. Your business insurance, perhaps £2,000 a year. The alarm, the requirement for our insurance anyway, is about £500 a year for the monitoring and servicing. If you have a van on finance or lease, you could be looking maybe £300. Again, road tax might not be applicable if you're leasing, but again, approximately £360 a year. Van insurance, if you're insuring separately, potentially another £1,000. Software, if you're running Adobe, £50 a month, probably more. If you're using Sage, QuickBooks, or whatever other software there are, maybe £24 a month there. And if you're hiring an accountant for your tax returns and bits, maybe £1,000 there. That's giving us a total overhead cost of £27,500, or nearly £2,300 a month. So that's the cost to keep the doors open, keep the lights on, keep the kettle filled without you taking a wage. I'm no expert on payroll. I do pay an accountant to deal with this, but a quick Google, national living wage is £25,400. If you are a director and you're taking the tax-free sort of salary of £12,500, you will be liable for employers' national insurance, about £469 according to the website I looked at. I could be wrong. And then if you're putting into a pension, say £100 a month, it's all optional. Again, another £27,000 there for your salary. Any employer's national insurance, there's probably other taxes and bits I've negated there. So your total costs to keep your doors open and pay yourself, national living wage there or thereabouts, is about £55,000 a year, or £4,500 a month. I think this is where I've had my eyes opened. I think other people have as well, where they've looked at that and sort of panicked, and the realisation as to how much it actually costs to do that, to open your doors every day. So if you've not panicked and you've not thought, sod that, I don't want to know, how do I take that sum? What do I use it for? There's 52 weeks in the year. I don't work 52 weeks of the year. I like to go on holiday. I close between Christmas and New Year. So let's base it on 48 weeks a year. Personally, I have my weekends off. I just do Monday to Friday, 5 days a week. And my billable hours, I've put that at 6 hours. Unfortunately, we can't bill customers for everything. We can't bill customers for the invoicing, the chasing of accounts, reconciling your accounts, cleaning the workshop, washing your van. All those little bits that, are essential to running a business but aren't billable, and you can't attribute them to an individual customer. That then gives us the cost per week. Again, not something I look at in great depth, just a number handy to know. The important one for myself is the cost per day, so £227.66 per day. If this was our business, that's what it costs per day to open the doors, keep your kettle filled, put the lights on, pay yourself a wage, assuming you're billing 6 hours a day, 5 days a week for 48 weeks a year. £227.66. A lot of subcontractors and installers will work on day rates. If you're trying to compete with these people who are just running a van with all the equipment and stuff, and they're charging, one man might be charging £250 a day. If you have the overheads that are included here, and you're trying to rival that, I'll do it for £250 a day too, you're not making a great amount of money. I also look at the billable hours, so those 6 hours a day, it's costing about £38 an hour. Again, if you're doing a job for a customer and you're doing design work, it's just good to know that's what it costs an hour. We'll jump into the next spreadsheet and we'll have a look at how we take that and then use that to work out costs and prices. So I've taken the costs from the previous spreadsheet. I've just dropped them over on the side here so we can see them. This is a similar method to how I work out prices. So if you look at this van up at the top here, you've probably got a price in mind as to what you would currently charge to produce that. So let's have a quick rundown. Design on it, I know it's really simple, but we'll say an hour on that for you. You've got to pull up the template, sit and design it, send it to the customer for approval. If there are any changes, make the changes. So an hour's realistic, always best to err on the side of caution. Production, to load the vinyl into the cutter, cut it, weed it, apply the application tape, then trim it out ready for the installation. An hour, I think, is more than sufficient. Installation, I've put 3 hours. If it's raining or the van turns up dirty and you've got to give it a quick wipe down and then, you know, install it all. 3 hours, again, being overly cautious. We've used approximately 4 metres of material. I've based that on £5 a metre. That gives us a total cost to us of £209.71. If you looked at that van and thought, oh, £150, depending on your overheads, if your overheads were from the first sheet, you're probably at a loss, but that gives you an idea of cost. That's an accurate cost. If you were pricing vans like this and your spreadsheet with your costs is saying it should be more, they're facts. If you've been accurate with the information and honest with, you know, how many billable hours you can do, that total should be accurate. And from that you can determine how much to charge, what your price should be. So we can do similar with a different vehicle. So this example here, assuming it's done with a colour change wrap, the design might take a little bit longer, maybe 2 hours. Production probably similar with cut vinyl, and we're doing the wrap straight off the roll. Installation is going to be much longer on that. If we're taking handles, badges, stripping them down, so if we say maybe 8 hours on there, similar amount of normal CAD vinyl at £5 a metre. The wrap vinyl is more expensive. I've just popped £25 in there for ease's sake. Say about 10 metres of vinyl to wrap rear doors, rear quarters, bonnet. That's then giving us a cost of about £687. So again, if you're already pricing jobs at, assuming that van's about £500, we've now sort of gone, actually we need to up the prices on that. So I hope you bared with me through that. I know it's not the most exciting of subjects. I'm sure we'd all rather be producing signs and graphics and earning money. But genuinely, that's one of the more beneficial things that I've done in my business. Got a grasp on what my costs are, how much it costs to keep the business running, and using that to work out my pricing, determine what margin I want to make on top of my costs. How has it gone? Turnovers remained quite consistent, profit has increased, so I appear not to be doing as many lower value, lower profit jobs. The work I am doing has certainly been more profitable. If you're producing products, items, stickers, sticker packs, banners, things like that, I still think it's a worthwhile thing to do. Once you understand what your costs are per day, per week, per month, per year, if you can work out what profit you make, you can then work out how many items you need to sell. Yeah. So when we're saying work out your costs, you need to work out your own costs. That's why, and I hope you've sat there throughout the video and laughed and, oh, my rent's not that, my rent's more, or I don't have a pension, or I earn this. Go for it, stick it in a spreadsheet, see what number comes out at the bottom, and just see, look at some of your previous jobs and leave a comment, let me know. I'm interested to know what people's thoughts are. I mean, I'm not saying I'm right, it works for me. If you've got a better way of doing it, let me know, I'm all ears.